their effort and their loyalty and all those things. Now, where it becomes challenging and frustrating is that, and this is why I've seen this throughout my entire career, is you'll see leaders like that having success within their team, but then in the office next door, you have a leader.
Welcome to Dear Business Coach, the podcast. My name's Elizabeth. Find one thing to move your business forward today with conversations, spotlights, interviews, articles, and free resources. Listen and follow and subscribe on social media, Dear Business Coach pages and groups, Dear Business Coach podcast, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and don't forget Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, anywhere you listen to podcasts. All it takes sometimes is one little thing to move your business forward today. And yeah. Okay. Welcome. Scott, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Elizabeth. Thank you. How are you?
I would like to say welcome to the Dear Business Coach podcast as well. I am excited to get some details, tidbits, and info from you. And I actually am curious to know, do you have one title? How do you how do you introduce yourself?
Well, it's fairly new because this is kind of a new season for me in my life, but I am technically the founder and chief servant leader for the
Mhm.
National Academy of Leadership Development,
Yeah.
and which
Well,
is a bit of a mouthful, I guess.
you leadership development is something that you can say, I want to share my knowledge, or I'm bringing people together to develop. And so, what does development mean to you, do you think?
So for me, my goal is really to start leaders off by helping them with their perspective around leadership. That to me, that's the starting point, and that's really what gets me excited. And my main mission is really to help people look at leadership and to see the most fruitful way to get results, the most healthy way to get results is by taking care of your people, right? And that results come from those who are doing the work, and that we're all human, and the way that you make me feel as a leader has a direct impact on my level of motivation and the effort that I want to give as an employee and the level of creativity and the amount that I want to share and all of that. And so to me, leadership development starts with looking internally at myself and how I look at leadership and my role as a leader, how I look at my team members. And do I look at them as numbers? Do I look at them as resources to be managed? Do I look at them based on their rank and title? Or do I look at them as priceless human beings who I have the honor of being able to lead and grow and develop? Because those are two different perspectives that really uh, influence the way that I lead. So that really is my goal. And then I've got an incredible faculty on my team that then can help develop skills in leaders beyond the foundation that I'm really excited about.
Mm. Well, so what do I do if I have maybe learned a bunch of bad habits?
Yeah, I think we all learn bad habits, and I think we're that life is all about learning and growing and continuously improving. And so I like to think about it if you've learned a bunch of bad habits, I like to think of our work that we do is similar to the Ebenezer Scrooge experience of leadership, if you need it, right? Because Ebenezer Scrooge was one of those leaders that did not see people first, right? He did not see the value in taking care of his people. It was all about the money and the results. And then he got visited by three ghosts, right? And he changed overnight. He was able to change his perspective. And that's, and it's a little bit extreme, but that's what we like to do is we like to have people go back and reflect on their past experiences from bad leaders that they've had and great leaders that they've had and to reflect back on those experiences and then come to current day and really look at what's going on in the world today because there's a lot going on. I don't need to tell you, but there's a lot going on in the world around us, and employees are coming into work carrying a lot of extra weight with them and a lot of uh, things that we don't see, but that's very heavy. And some of that is just with politics and the things that are going on in the world, and some of it is with the new AI era that's upon us, and what people questioning their own value. And is my job safe? And so that's what people are really are stressed about. And then we bring people to the future and we say, hey, leaders, at the end of this, what do you want to be known for? What do you want people to say about you when you're retiring? And what impact do you want to have had on people? And so typically when we bring people through that experience, we're able to inspire people at least to want to lead in a different way.
Visit the deals page, dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com/deals. Get your coupon codes there for all of the retailers who support the Dear Business Coach podcast and are giving you a special discount for being a listener here. You are listening to the Dear Business Coach podcast. My name's Elizabeth Walker and expert guests. Yeah, I mean, is there still a real pressure and structure to think of human capital as a resource in those words?
It is, and and to me, I can't force people to believe in servant leadership or people first leadership, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, again, people are people, and we can't change how people feel or how people react to our leadership behaviors. And so at the end of the day, companies that want to thrive in this next decade and beyond, those CEOs, those executives, those board of directors that really want to get the most results and want to grow for years, not just for quarters, uh, need to understand that again the results come from your people, and you need that discretionary effort from your employees, that extra effort. You need your employees to not leave you, right? That turnover is such an important data point to look at that we don't look at a lot. And we look at
Mm,
it, but because it's not on your profit and loss statement, right? There's not a cost of turnover number that we typically look at. It doesn't get as
mm,
much attention as it should. Because if you're constantly turning your employees and you're constantly recruiting and you're constantly training and and so you're not getting the most results that you could be if you had that staff that was there and growing and developing and then again so happy and engaged that
yeah.
they're wanting to give that extra effort and give those ideas to generate more revenue. Or hey boss, I noticed on this project plan that if we do this it's going to cause the project to fail. And people aren't going to offer that information or those ideas if they're not happy, if they don't feel seen and valued and respected. And all of that comes from our leadership behaviors. So again, choose to believe in that philosophy or not, but at the end of the day, you can't force engagement.
Well, thank you for circling back with that. I actually wrote down can't control how people dot dot dot. And that is an interesting thing for you to say right now because while we're talking about this, I think about the idea of impact and self-awareness. I'm constantly thinking about how I affect other people. And so there's this very interesting little gray area where I'm dancing between worried about how other people are going to be impacted by me, my decisions, my attitude, what I say, or where I show up, where I don't show up. And what you just said, and I can't control how people will react to my leadership or whatever it is that I'm doing that day in that role. So which inevitably, right, the basic basis of leadership in many forms is just that, how you impact people in your day to day interactions with other people. How do
Yeah.
you affect other people? So to also operate under the awareness that, oh, I actually still can't control how people perceive me or react to me. How do you deal with that? And where did this idea come to light for you?
Well, I think again, part of leadership is recognizing that uh, everything that I do, everything that I say, every decision I make leaves a mark on the people that I lead. And so my choice as a leader is, do I want to Do I want that mark to be a positive mark, or do I want it to be a negative mark? And to me, I want it always to be a positive mark. And so I know that if if you and I are in an interaction and you leave my presence, you're telling yourself a story about that interaction. And I want to make sure that that story is a at least a neutral or positive story, not that it's a negative story, because those stories that you walk around with for you define what the culture is of that team, of that organization. And again, that drives so much of your level of engagement and your decision on whether you stay and how much effort you put into the job, whether you come in early, stay late, whether you call in sick, whether all of those factors are really based on those stories that you're telling yourself based on these interactions that we have. So my job as a leader is to make sure that listen, it's not about being soft. It's not about not having hard conversations. It's not about me not telling you things that you need to do better. In fact, it's the opposite. Because as a people centered leader, my job is to help you succeed. My job is to make sure you're set up for success because that's how we get results. It's how I do that that makes all the difference. My role is to make sure that I do everything with dignity and with respect, and that it's coming from a good place. It's coming from my motivation is to help you grow and succeed. And you should hopefully receive it that way, right? Through my tone and through
Mhm.
our relationship and through time, right? Because otherwise, a lot of leaders provide that feedback at the wrong time or out of frustration or for the wrong reasons. And again, it ends up doing more harm than good. So I think again, so much of it comes from our motives as a leader, and then again, our approach is always from that perspective of how is this impacting that employee? What is the ripple effect that this conversation is going to have? Because just because we're having the conversation today doesn't mean it's just going to end today. We have an exercise we do in our workshop where we ask people to think about a time when a leader made them feel priceless or worthless. And what is the thing that that leader said or did that made them feel that way? And when people share, these are stories that didn't happen last week. These are
Mm,
stories that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago.
mm.
So to me, that's powerful to think about the influence that we have as leaders on people. And knowing that, I want to make sure that those are positive ripples and not negative.
Yeah, well, now that must be a very also a trust building kind of experience too, right? Sharing this kind of story background with people during a workshop. What does that look like? Can you tell me a little bit like what's it look like inside of a workshop
Yeah,
with
so
you?
our 1 day experience, again, is really designed to be like a reset for organizations that want to either um, create, again, a new culture where they're putting their people first, or for leaders that want to, again, improve their leadership style. And again, we're all about kind of this modern day people first leadership uh, culture. And so again, it is kind of that Scrooge experience. We really do. We have you go back and relive some. We think have you think about your best boss, your worst boss, and how that those people made you feel, how it impacted your work performance, what results came from those leaders. We do talk about present day. We talk about AI. We talk about how we can leverage AI tools to reclaim time back in our life so that we can spend that time with our people more, right? I think AI is a great benefit to us if we use that time wisely. I mean, we could just take the time and let it consume, let our emails take up that time or anything else. But if we're smart about it, we would take that extra 20 hours that we're getting back a week or whatever it is and say, what can I do with this time? And I'm going to go do more mentoring. I'm going to do more coaching. I'm going to do more team building. I'm going to do more whatever things that are going to add tremendous value in building my team, developing my people, improving our culture. So to me, we talk about that in the workshop. And then again, we end with legacy, and we talk about again the ripple effect of leadership, and so we really start people off on this journey, and then again our faculty then can work with clients on those additional, because at that point then it is about skill building. Then it is okay from that point on, how do we then effectively coach and develop and motivate and things like that. But the workshop is really designed to really just lay that foundation.
Yeah. Now, do you get folks who have been interested in changing their culture for a while and have had struggle with that?
Yeah, and I think that's what we're finding is that there's been a lot of frustration with some organizations that spend a lot of money and time on whether it's fancy systems or huge programs and
Mm-hmm.
not getting a lot of return, or they don't see the change that they'd hoped to see. But what we're finding is that because they're trying to fix something on the surface level and they're not really getting or starting with that root cause of what's, and to me that is starting with how do you see your people? Because if you continue to look at your people as resources to be managed, then that's how you treat people, right? You treat people the way that you
Mm-hmm.
see people. And so that is the starting point. And if we can change that, and all those other things, all the consultants and the training programs and the systems, then they start to work. But until you can change the attitude and the perspective and get a unified leadership language or philosophy or culture established, it's really hard to get those results. And so what the beautiful thing is, it doesn't cost a lot of money, it doesn't take a lot of time, and you can have really quick turnaround in getting results when you can get your leaders away for even just for a day to look at this, because it's common sense, right? Take care of your people and they will take care of the rest, right? It's the whole goose and the golden egg kind of analogy. The people are the ones that are driving your results. Take care of your people and they will drive more results for you.
Update, update, update. Now you can get 10 free email issues when you sign up for email at dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. Discount codes, early access, exclusive content, the magazine, and access to the VIP page. Dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. Well, this is certainly I have experienced many times over this idea of if I or me and the team or the team and I had more support from our boss, our manager, our oversight, or whatever, we could do things a lot faster, or whatever the suggestion is, or do
Yeah.
things a lot easier. Or if the thing is, I hear you say that changing the language and a desire for culture change, and this is coming from who? Like someone who might be someone who's going to change from the top down, or do you also see people that are interested in this sort of mid-level, like I am in charge of my team, and regardless of who I work for or how
Yeah.
big that organization is, I want to make a mark for myself in my career without being worried about what company I am in, or what whatever it is that the logo says next to my resume. I can carry this all the way through
Right.
my personal as legacy. Do you talk about that sometimes?
Yeah, we do a lot. In fact, it does work individually, and this even works in your personal life as well. I mean, what we talk about is literally just looking at someone based on their worth as a human being, because again, the way that you see people is the way that you're going to treat them. So even if someone cuts you off in traffic, if you can remind yourself that that person in that car that just cut you off in traffic is a priceless human being, you don't have to like the behavior, right? But we separate the behavior, we separate the work, we separate um, from the human being. It really does. You'll feel it internally, the way that you even feel, and then your response and how you again treat that person. So from an individual leadership perspective, yes, you can go through this training, you can go through and become a servant leader, and you can get great results with your own team, because what you're doing is you're serving your people. You're taking care of your team members that have been entrusted into your care. So you're getting to know them on an individual basis. You're getting to know their strengths. You're getting to know their struggles and their goals and how they like to communicate. And you're adapting, and you're seeing yourself as your job is to remove barriers and provide them with the tools and all of those things. And they appreciate that. That's how they feel seen and heard and valued. And then they respond in kind, with their effort and their loyalty and all those things. Now, where it becomes challenging and frustrating is that, and this is why I've seen this throughout my entire career, is you'll see leaders like that having success within their team, but then in the office next door, you have a leader that doesn't have that same philosophy, that leads with command and control, and they're constantly having turnover, and they're not getting the results. And so even within the same division, you could have different subcultures and different levels of results. So, for this to work, it really does have to be from top down and all the way through. If an organization wants to become one of those brands that is known as one of these employee centered, people centered, like a Southwest Airlines in their heyday, or Chick-fil-A or a 3M, or one of these brands, it really does. And what we do is we identify three levels of leadership. So the executive level, they have their role to play in this, but they have to be they right because they control the decisions when it comes to systems and policies and programs, and so they need to be thinking about how do these things impact our employees, and right, so that's their job. And then there's that middle level, right, and they're tricky because they've got to manage up and down, and so they're kind of in
Mhm.
that middle role. And then you've got the frontline leaders that are so critical because they're interacting with those frontline employees every single day. And those are those everyday leadership behaviors that truly do define what that company culture is and defines truly the success or the failure of that company.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you have the front line leaders, and they really are interacting every day, and that is where culture is defined.
Yeah.
That's a very good uh place on the map to put it. Exactly. Well, and so you also just said there too, if I am a executive level leader, I am responsible for systems and processes and who is going to implement them, and ultimately making the choice that this is the system and this is the new book we're going to read first, So
Yeah.
why would I not want to put a lot of importance on that, or maybe I do, or maybe you're saying there's a different way to implement systems, or maybe you're saying uh, the systems you're used to implementing are too packaged or something.
What I would recommend and what I'm saying is that anytime a decision is going to be made for an organization at that level, they really need to take, and I've seen this. In I was in the service industry for 30 years, and I worked for supported a couple of executives that obsessed with customer experience and customer satisfaction, which is great. And I even had one executive that used to have a mannequin, and he would put the mannequin in his office in a chair, and that mannequin represented the customer. And so anytime that they would make a decision, they would think about this mannequin. I would say do the same thing, but with an employee, right?
Mm,
So the question is, if we're going to make a decision that impacts a big decision for the company, the first question should be, how does this impact, or how is it going to impact our employees? Is it going to make their life harder, more difficult? And if so, maybe we need to rethink it. But also things
mm,
like when we think about systems like our employee engagement survey, or our performance management system, are we only doing those things once a year? And what message does that send? Right? Oh, well, we value you people, but only once a year. Like, we don't do that with our customers. That would be crazy if we only asked our
mm,
customers once a year for their
mm.
feedback. So those are the types of things that we would want executives to think, how do we get that feedback more frequently? Because that's where the answers lie. We spend all this money to hire all these consultants to come in and help us with our process improvements, when the answers are all right there at the front line. We just have to ask our employees for those. How do we make our processes smoother, or what tools do we need? And but again, they need to be
Mm.
engaged and want to provide us that feedback. So anyways, that's what I would say.
Yeah, well, yes, thank you. No, absolutely, because right, that's tough because at some point you are faced with, okay, I have to physically, literally create some kind of procedure that can be followed anytime that there's a change, even if it's changing what we say at the beginning or the end of an interview, a meeting, a form, something that you write down. So these
Anything.
are what the things that I'm thinking of when I say processes and
Yeah.
systems. Yeah, and so, sir, so I wanted to say that you are it's bringing up memories for me of working in a restaurant
Uh-huh.
and then moving through the I guess not the ranks exactly, but over time, after you've been somebody who's waited on tables or somebody who's been in the kitchen, I mean, 10 years later, I might be having a conversation with my partner or my brother-in-law, and we're thinking about what it was like to work in the kitchen, when you were 25, and how that really is so applicable still. I mean, my partner said the other day, I don't, when I used to work in a kitchen, I used to really hold people. I had high standards for people, but I also had everything ready and available for that person to do the job. And I also know that as kitchen manager or head chef or whatever, that if somebody has a problem, it's me who has to pick up the slack. And that's what a good operator does. That's what a good manager or leader does, is actually you guys run the show, but when something goes wrong, I'll be here to pick up your shift or step in when there's an emergency. And so what do you think about that sort of, be
Yeah.
this, what do you think about that in terms of literally,
Yeah.
if you have a sick family member and can't show up tonight, I have to take your shift. That's just a reality of being the manager. And I don't know, do we see that
Yeah.
in the office?
Yeah, it really is. I listen, I ran hotels for a number of years and that's
Mm,
24/7 and yeah, you have a call off or someone needs to leave early and or whatever the case. Yeah, you're cleaning rooms and checking people in and and here's the thing. Or you're a manager or a leader and you don't do that, it also sends a very strong message and employees notice that too. And so again, I think one of the things that leaders recognize or should recognize is that people are always watching, whether you like it or not.
mm,
You're kind of always on stage. And again, every decision you make, every action you take or you don't take is being noticed and it's sending a message. And that message reflects your brand as a leader and your, and so again, it's not, I think sometimes we think it's the big events, the big strategy meeting or the big
hmm
presentation I make at the end of the quarter that defines who I am as a leader. And it's not. It's the things that you just mentioned. It's the, hey, I need to leave early because my kid's sick. And it's that moment that defines who I am as a leader. It's do I let you go or do I say, hey, I can't let you go. We're too busy. Uh, and it's also not only do I let you go, but do I let you go with pause? Do I let you go with some sort of attitude or do I let you go like there's no even question? Like, go, Elizabeth. Your family is the most important thing. We've got this covered for you and give you zero guilt for leaving early. Right. Those are the scenarios that I think we don't even talk about or think about. They're the little moments in the margins that truly define, again, what we talked about earlier. What is the culture of this place? Do I want to be part of this? Do I like this team? Do I like this organization? What do I talk about when I go out with my friends? What do I say about this place? Right? All of that is really defined by again these little micro moves that happen throughout the course of the day.
yeah. Well, now how do I sign up for a workshop? Is that something that's open to me to get started in as a newbie?
Yeah, we have 22 faculty across the country that are
Mm,
all certified to teach our workshop. We also do train the trainers. So for larger organizations that want to get their own trainers certified, we offer that. We just kicked off a national tour. So we're hitting 8 different cities between now and the end of the year. So if they go to our website, which is nationalald.com, there's a link to our ticket site so people can
oh,
sign up
cool.
and buy tickets to our national tour. And I'm co-facilitating in each city with one of our faculty members, so I'm really excited to do that and to start again, spread the word. And we're again, it's all about the movement for us. We're not trying to make millions here. We're just really trying to inspire a change in how we look at leadership and how we treat our people And again, in a day and age where I think we're losing some of that humanity in the workplace, we want to make sure we keep it and add even a little bit more, bring some light back into the workplace.
Yeah. Well, I see in your logo too um, it's a seedling that's that's growing, and then
Yeah.
and it's inside a heart. I like this analogy here, and then you say brings things into the light. So immediately I thought, oh, there's the plant stretching through for the light.
Ah,
Yeah. Well, and it's National ALD
yes.
dot com.
NationalALD.com.
Yeah, yeah, nationalald.com. Okay. And Scott, so that was a share too. You actually are going to be co-headlining.
Yes. And we're giving away free copies of the book just for the national tour, but I'll be signing copies of the book for everybody that signs up for just for the national tour kickoff
Oh, good.
events.
Okay, so wow. Well, and so I actually can get your book too, right? At your
It's on Amazon or any of the places you normally get books. And yeah, that but the book itself is just kind of the seed packet, I say, for the movement. It's part of our entire priceless leadership system that we've put together that includes we've got free book clubs and free self-study guides to the book, as well as the workshop. And we have an executive retreat and train the trainer. All that people can find out more about it on our website. But again, we're just trying to spread the word.
Yay. Yes, nationalald.com. All
Yes.
righty. Yay, Scott. Thank you for coming to the show, to the
Thank you
Dear
for
Business
having me.
Coach podcast. Well, I will talk to you again real soon.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you. You've been listening to the Dear Business Coach podcast. My name is Elizabeth Walker, producer and host of the Dear Business Coach podcast. Music by Stones Mayo. Social media by Meenakshi Bensal. Follow and subscribe now. Thanks so much. You are a superstar.